Okay, girls, we are now doing lesson number 134. We're going to do the practices. You should already be at that page, which is not 503, lesson 134. We're talking about adding and subtracting fractions, part 3. This one gets there's a few more steps. It's not hard, it's just got more steps. So be patient with yourselves. Don't get frustrated. Take your time. We're going to just walk through the very first one. We're going to read it out loud together. Follow along as I read. When we add or subtract fractions with different denominators, we sometimes need to change the name of both fractions. A few lessons ago, we already did that, where we changed the fractions so that we could add or subtract them together. When we add or subtract fractions, they must have a common denominator. That's not true with multiplication, but just with adding and subtracting, we have to have a common denominator. Okay, so the answer will have the same denominator. You've been making mistakes on that, so you have to pay close attention. The fractions, 1/2 and 1/3, have different denominators. Before we add, we rename the fractions so that the fractions have a common denominator. We choose a denominator which both 1/2 and 1/3 may be changed. One way to choose a denominator is to multiply the denominators by the two fractions. The denominators of 1/2 and 1/3 are 2 and 3 respectively. Multiplying 2 and 3 we get 6, which we can use for the denominator. You see how they did that? We're going to do them together over here on the next page. We're not going to go through example that. I want to just pop right down to the practice problem. That's the best way to do it. So if you look at A, the problem is 1/3 plus 1/4. I always double check myself. I've already written everything down on my paper, but I always double check myself that it's the same one in the book. Okay, so the first one is 1/3 and 1/2, 1/3 and 1/4. What we need to do is get a common denominator. So what we're going to do is all of the practice problems, A through I, all we're going to do is multiply these right here. So we're going to take 1/3 and multiply it to get a common denominator of 12. So we multiply it by what? 4. That number there. So 1 times 4 is 4. 3 times 4 is 12. So 1/3 is the same as 4/12. So now we have this one fixed. Now we got to do that one. So we have 1/4, and we're going to multiply it by the 3. So we have to get a common denominator of 12. So 1 times 3 is 3. 4 times 3 is 12. So 1/4 is the same as 3/12. So now we can take this number and change them to 4/12 plus 3/12 equals 7/12. I don't think I'm going to use red anymore. I can't see it very good. We do not add these together. The denominator stays the same when we add or subtract fractions. So your answer here is 7/12. Okay, I'm going to do one more with you, and then you're going to have to do the rest of these by yourself, okay? There's a few of them. I'm going to get a different color. I'm going to do B now. B is 1/5 plus 1/3. Now make sure that that's what I have written down here. Okay, so we're going to do 5 times 3 is 15. So we want the denominator to be 15. But how do I get there? 5 times what will give me a denominator of 15? 5 times what? 3. So this is 3/15. So 1/5 is the same as 3/15. Now we're going to do 1/3. Take 1/3, multiply it by 5, and we get 5/15. Go back and watch the video again if you have to, or read through the lesson again. Don't let yourself get confused. So now we can go and do this problem. We're going to rewrite it. So 1/5 is the same as 3/15. And 1/3 is the same as 5/15. All we do now is add the top one, the numerator, which is 8. We do not add the denominator together. The denominator stays the same when we add or subtract fractions. So it's 8/15. The thing you need to pay attention to here, ladies, is whenever you're going through these practice problems, be sure that you're paying attention to whether you're adding or subtracting. Okay, you don't want to get the answer wrong simply because you didn't subtract or you didn't add. You did the opposite of what you were supposed to do. Okay, do the evens on this lesson, and then do your best to try and attach your work to Google Classroom. It's not hard, but be sure that I can see it and it's not blurry. And you're writing so I can see it. Okay, girls, talk to you later.